back to the B Bunch family. I'm Sam and
I'm Justine.
Go ahead.
This is Charlie and our almost 8-month-old daughter Anna. So as you guys know, if you've been following us for a while, November is Adoption Awareness Month, and we've been doing adoption awareness videos for the month because before we got pregnant with our daughter Anna, we were in an adoption journey, and then we got unexpectedly pregnant after years of infertility and had to pause our adoption. But it's still something that we are passionate about and want to bring awareness to. And if you've been following this month, because it's Adoption Awareness Month, we've been posting kind of about our experience and just bringing awareness to the topic. And this video is actually going to be the last one for Adoption Awareness Month, but we will always continue to bring awareness to that topic. And so if we didn't answer a question or do a video on something you thought that we would have and you need that video or want that video about adoption, let us know in the comments. But today we're going to be focusing on tips that we have and tips that we found when building our profile. So these are tips that we heard, also tips that we just thought about on our own as we built our profile, things that we learned and want to share for those that are going through an adoption process and are at the point where now you have to build your profile.
So we hope that you find some of these tips helpful. You know, we try to be as concrete as possible and hopefully try to give some examples.
Okay. Right. And for those of you that don't know, what I mean by building your profile is that once you're home study approved and kind of considered a waiting family and waiting for a birth mom to match with you, you have to create a profile so that she sees something. She could be presented with something from the agency to get to know you, and then from there she would choose families and kind of narrow it down, or choose one family and meet them and move forward with that family. So that's your profile, like what the birth mom is seeing, what the birth family is seeing, that is introducing you to them for the first time.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's done differently for other agencies, but I think it's done pretty similar in most agencies in 2022 at this point, which is for our agency, we had to create 3 different types of kind of a welcoming, which was a book,
straight. Yeah.
So it was 3 different types of things. So it was a book, which that was our profile book. So it's not a thick book, but there's a lot of information in it, and we'll kind of show you some examples later. But it was the actual physical book, and it was a website page and a video along with that website page. Now the book was in case a birth mom or birth family didn't have access to internet and couldn't access your web page or your video. But most people in 2022 are doing it electronically, but they still require you to do a physical book just in case, and then you get a copy of it as well. So that's the copy that we had. And then the website is mandatory as well, and it's basically the same thing as the book but in a digital version. The video for our agency wasn't required, but it was highly recommended, and we did do one. And it's basically, I mean, the video has a little bit, it's us actually talking, so it's a little different than seeing just a still shot of a book or the website, but it's basically the same information just presented in 3 different ways. So
yes, and to be clear, you don't copy and paste what you wrote in the book into the video, because then it's just like you're not really like trying as much. It was actually, like Justine said, 3 very distinct ways to present who you are.
Right, but the website is basically the digital copy of your book.
The website is direct.
The video, you guys shoot it yourselves, and so it could be a little bit different, but you're still relaying that information. I did write some stuff on my phone, so I'll be looking down on it. But our first tip, we talked about these tips earlier today, so we're kind of in agreement that these are our top tips. Our first tip is to really be yourself.
Yes.
And yeah.
Being yourself is key. Like we've talked about this in previous videos. You're only hurting your chances as well as you're hurting the potential other family when you're not being yourself. Being authentic is the most important factor, because the birth parents are trying to place their child with a loving family, and the last thing anybody wants is to be lured into a false sense of security when that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, and to build on that, they're trying to place their child with the right family that fits what they want out of the family that they're placing their child with. And so you want to present yourself. The other thing of why we say present yourself is because building your profile can be intimidating, a little bit nerve-wracking. You know, this was going to be what the birth mother or the birth family sees the first time they see you, and you really want to present your best self. But sometimes I noticed other people almost copying. Like when we looked at other people's profile, every profile started to look the same after a while, and birth moms are going to pick up on that, and that's not a good thing because you're not going to stand out if every profile looks the same. And you can't look the same. Every family is different. So really be yourself and try to hone into who you guys are as a couple, or who you are as a person if you're adopting by yourself, and really, really show who you are in that, not just like what you think people want to see. Even though it can be nerve-wracking. I understand that. And then the second tip was to look at other people's profiles, but not to copy, like I said. But I kind of did a little exercise. I kind of wanted to get, and this is not like standard, I guess, but I did do it because I just wanted to get in the mindset of what a birth mother must be feeling in that moment. So what I did, I really didn't pay attention to other people's profiles as far as what to copy, because like I said, we wanted to show ourselves. But I did sit down and look at other people's profiles and kind of think about, if I was a birth mom, what would stand out to me about this couple? Not to copy them, but to decide, well, what is it about me and Sam that we need to put in our profile that stands out about us? And I did find a couple families that kind of say, oh, well, their profile stands out because they did this different or that different. And I didn't take from them, but I figured out, okay, what is it about us?
Yeah, every family is unique, and that's what we literally were able to find out with very specific ones. It wasn't a copy-paste kind of format. It was literally seeing what makes this particular family unique.
Right. And because some people feel, I think some people, it's not that they're intentionally copying to be harmful, but they feel like maybe they don't have enough to offer when they see other people's profiles. But really and truly, don't compare. Every birth mother is looking for something different in their family. Some birth mothers are looking for the person that does a lot of travel and is going to do a lot of travel with their children. But some people may not want that. They may want a more homebody, more homey, cozy kind of person. So really, just focus on who you are. Don't focus on what you don't have to offer. Focus on what you do have to offer, and just be yourself. And the right child will come to you. The right birth mom will see your profile. Just have faith in that and be yourself, because you can tell when someone is not being themselves, and that doesn't come off well, and it's not going to get you a lot of views and profile opportunities when you're looking for a birth mom, because they're gonna see that disingenuousness, whether or not it's like meant to be malicious. Even if it's not meant to be malicious, it's gonna come off just disingenuine, and that's the first impression of you, and they don't really have anything else to go off of. They're not meeting you in person before that. They're not like meeting you to kind of see if there's a difference. That's their literal only thing they see of you before they move on with you, whether that be if they choose to have to narrow it down to 1 or 2 families, or whether they choose to choose you outright. That's still the only thing they're really seeing at that point, and they're going from there. So it's really hard to choose a family. It's really hard as a birth family to be in that position to place your child for adoption in general. But then it's also just really hard to place your child just based off of that video, website, or book. And so you just want to come off really, really genuine and just show yourself, and because that is their only thing that they're really seeing. Then the next tip was to, like I said, it kind of goes with what we already said, but I'm going to give the example from our book. I said, look at what your strengths are as a couple, or as a adoptive parent if you're adopting by yourself. And I don't just mean like strengths, like you don't just want to say like, oh, I'm an honest person, I'm kind, everyone says that, and you might mean it, but that's not going to show them anything. That's just you kind of saying stuff, and you know, you can talk about who your spouse is at. There is a part where they let you talk about who your spouse is as a person, who you are as a person, hobbies, things like that. But I specifically mean if there's anything about your family that kind of stands out, you know, like if you have 15 pets and they're all, you have like a lot of different animals like birds and dogs and cats and things like that. Not a lot of people have that many pets, and so that would be something that stands out as a family and you want to highlight. But for us, well, we did the traditions, right?
Yes, we did traditions.
So for us, we noticed that we're the type of family that has a lot of traditions, and we like to really celebrate things and celebrate like holiday seasons and just seasons in general, and we just have a lot of traditions throughout the year. And we noticed that there wasn't really a place highlighting that in the book, and so we asked if we could add a page and really highlight our traditions, and we did. So that's like, we added a page and we just, I don't know if you guys can see, but we added a page and really just highlighted traditions, and we decided to do it by season. So we kind of talked about our fall traditions, like the pumpkin picking, you know, what we do for Halloween, things like that. And then we talked about spring traditions, which are like going on a little mini vacations usually. We talked about winter traditions, like what we do for Christmas and how we make Christmas special and how we intend to make that special with a child. And then like summer, we talked about how we go visit our families, how, you know, that we do have extended family out of state and visiting and just traveling. And we talked about like our professions a little bit and how we do get time off. And so we just really focused on the traditions because that was something that was unique to our family, and it was something that is kind of like a big thing that we would do with our child. And you know, this is Anna's first holiday season and we're seeing that now, and it's something that we wanted to highlight. So find something to highlight. You know, if you need to ask them to add an extra page or whatever way you find to highlight whatever it is, if you have a specific hobby that's really cool, if you guys share a hobby, if whatever it is that makes you
the most genuine as possible, you know, like we said that before, you know, you're gonna hear me say it, you're gonna hear us say it a lot of times. Be as genuine as possible, you know, like she said, like Justine said, like if you have a shared hobby, be proud of that hobby, you know, be passionate about it because you want to show who you are. It's like what are you prepared to do with that hobby? Like, are you going to make that like passion projects that you and your potential placement might do, like on your spare time, or are you gonna come up with a new kind of hobby together as parent and child? You know, these are all these different things that kind of have to cross your mind a little bit more. And these things are present and what you should be thinking about.
Are you hungry? Not hungry? No, not hungry. Yeah, so yeah, just there's something that makes every couple unique and every household unique, every family unique. So find it, highlight it. The one was, don't be afraid to show your extended friends and family. Yes. Who is your village as well. You want the book to be about you, and this was something that our adoption agency actually told us. You want the book to be about you. You don't want to overload your book or your profile with just your family. You want it to be about whoever is adopting the child, but you do want at least to have some pictures and snapshots and little, you know, explanations as to who your extended family is, who your village is, and how they fit into your life. So for us, teething again. There's something cold. Yeah. So for us, we do both have. We come from multicultural families, both of us. So that's a big, you know, our cultures are a big factor in that. Our traditions are a big factor in that. I come from a relatively big family. Sam comes from a smaller family, but like I said, now we're all one big family. And we do have a lot of friends and just people that are in our life, and we try to make as much time. We do like quality time and doing events, and a lot of those traditions that we already talked about are surrounded not just by us. Some traditions are just kind of our little thing, but some traditions are all of our family. And so we did put in the book, like, you know, for Christmas, what do we do for Christmas? Well, we go to my mother's house, and what does she do? And kind of like tying in the important people, showing your friends as well, and just, you know, you're telling the story with words and pictures when you're kind of making your book, and you just want to show everything. So although you want to make whoever's adopting the child, whether it be you and a partner, you and yourself, the center and the main thing. Don't overload with other people because they're not the ones adopting. You do want to show who else is in your life and why they're important to you and how they fit into your life, and not just you. And the other thing was like kind of having a balance in your book. So the book to me is basically a love letter to your birth mom or to your birth family, future birth mom, future birth family. And they're probably going through one of the worst things, if not the worst thing in their life, even though you're going through one of the most exciting points in your life, but you might be going through it from somewhere of a struggle. So we were excited about our adoption, but we had just had 3+ years of infertility, and we wanted to be honest about that. So we did talk about it in the book. We did talk about why we were adopting at that specific time, and that we did talk about our story of getting married and going through infertility and how we felt and why we were adopting at that time. But you have to also be careful. She's always going to do that to your son.
Yes.
You also have to be careful the language you use and the way you talk, because you want to be compassionate to the person who's actually going through the harder time, which is your birth family. You never want to seem like you just don't want to seem like pushy, I want to say. That's kind of like, you don't want to seem pushy. You don't want to seem like you're like pressuring. You want to be very compassionate and really try to put yourself in that person's shoes and just show who you are. Talk about your struggle. Talk about what you envision for their child, you know, your intended adopted child. You know, be honest, but also just have compassion for your birth mom. In the book, there is a part where you kind of like talk directly to them. You talk directly to the birth mother, and so have compassion when you're talking. I might share that at the end. There's like a little letter to her. It's really short, so I might just share that. But I think we were really good at combining our personality and still being really compassionate and just showing how we would view her and things like that. And you just want to be very mindful of that in general. Be honest and vulnerable. So even if you're coming to adoption through something that's really hard for you to talk about, find a way to really talk about it. You don't want to overharp or like cry in your video.
Yes.
But
because if you try to hide those emotions, it will manifest in a different way, and it could wind up affecting your profile. And we know it's hard to be that vulnerable. What's the matter?
it's her teeth.
We know it's hard to be that vulnerable.
Give her something cold.
But these are some things that you have to think about, and because at the end of the day, it is you trying to start and build your family. I'm trying to find out. Go.
Yeah, so you want to be prepared to be vulnerable too. Honestly, making our video was a little bit difficult because I think it was easier to put our struggles and our vulnerability down on paper for the book and the website, but when it came to filming the video, that was a very vulnerable video. It was a very emotional video, and it was our first time ever filming a video like that and really talking about it. And you're talking to your, like I said, your potential birth mother, birth family, and your potential child, and it brought up a lot of emotions, but kind of be prepared and ready for those emotions as well. So show different sides of yourself. Don't just show one side of yourself. So don't just show the serious working side of yourself, or don't think that because it's an adoption, you only have to show the family side of yourself. You want to show yourself. You want to show the well-rounded person that you are in all sides, so that they get a really good picture of who you are as a full person. They can see what you do in your career, what are those passions, what are your hobbies, what is your home life like, what are you like as a partner, because showing them those different sides are going to give them a clear picture of like what you would be like as a parent if you're not already a parent, or if you're parenting other children. You want to show that too. What are you like as a parent? But if you're not a parent, like we weren't yet, you want to show all the sides of you so they can maybe envision what it would be like if their child was placed in your care.
Right. You can talk about even like and the world is your oyster. You can talk about pretty much anything that highlights yourself. You know, if you have a relevant memory that and how it affects a potential passion or hobby that you do Now, then plug that in. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're being true to yourself and you want to build, then that's what in the end will matter to the birth parents. Okay.
And then that goes with the next tip as well, which is don't be afraid to show both seriousness and silliness. Building your profile is very serious. You want to be, like we said, honest. You want to be clear about who you are. You want to show all sides of yourself. You want to do all of that. But also, if you're a very silly person, you want to show that too. You want to show your personality. If you have more, like, you want to show family and friends pictures, like, see, maybe like pictures and things you did, but if you have more silly pictures, you want to show that too. You want to have fun with it too and show like your all sides and just the fun sides of you. So we had pictures in there of, like, we had regular Christmas pictures, you know, like the pretty family Christmas pictures, but we also had Christmas pictures that we had taken that were like silly pictures, fun in my mom's house, like joking around, you know, relaxing on Christmas in our PJs, or like with little reindeer ears on, Charlie dressed up, you know, our dog Charlie dressed up for Christmas, and showing that we kind of have fun with things like that. You know, showing like costumes on Halloween, and showing the more silly side of us, like just joking around and showing who we are as a couple, and not just the seriousness of this adoption. Like, we showed that too. We talked about that. We were compassionate. We talked about our struggles with infertility, like I said. We talked about our background as a couple, but we also wanted to show the fun family that we are, and what it would be like if you placed a child with us, and not be afraid to be both serious and take it serious, but also show the fun sides of your family, the silly sides, the, you know, the wacky sides, and whatever makes you different. And one of our last tips is, if you're open to open or semi-open adoption, be open in your letter to the birth mom about that.
Yes, 100%. You know, you're establishing communication. I don't mean to control. Communicating is key. You know, you want to have it like open door, like being able to have open communication, open honesty.
Yeah, you don't want to say too much because things can change, or you don't want to, you know, but if you are open to it, just say you're open to it, and kind of give them a picture of what you envision your relationship growing into, because this is a person that's going to be in your life forever. If you're open to open adoption, they're placing their child with you, that child is going to be your child forever, and that open adoption and that adoption journey is going to be a part of your story forever. And that relationship, even though, like we said in the previous video, there is a legal document that states like how many visits and what, you know, what the rights are in that open adoption, that relationship also grows beyond that piece of paper.
Yes.
Because when your child is first brought home, maybe that first year, second year, third year, you're gonna follow that document. But as you get to know this person, and now your child is 10 years old and things have happened, a teenager, things have happened, now you've known this person who is the birth parent to your child for like 10 years, 15 years, and that relationship is gonna naturally progress. And so show what you envision in the future. Show her, you know, make them comfortable. And so those are our tips, right?
Don't tell them what they want to hear or what you think they want. Then no one's gonna go for that. Okay?
Just really think about what you guys envision and just be honest, like you said. Those are our tips, pretty much.
Yes, pretty much.
And just for the last part of the video, I'm gonna actually read what we wrote to the birth mom. So at the end, so like I said, there's different sections. So there's a section about each spouse. So if you're adopting as a couple, there's a section about me, there's a section about Sam. If you already have children, there's a section about your children. If you have pets, there's a section about your pets. And then there's a part where I kind of talk about Sam talks about me, kind of. There's a part where I talk about myself, he talks about himself, but there's also a part where we flip and we talk about each other as spouses and as what we see as good potential, you know, as why Sam would make a good dad, why I would make a good mom, that kind of thing. There's also a section about your extended family. There's a section about your marriage. There's a section about your household. There's a section about your hobbies. And then, like we said, we added the tradition one, so you can add like little things that are specific to your family. But our book specifically, and I think most adoption profiles I've seen, ends with a very short and sweet but important letter to your birth mom. And so I wanted to share that to kind of show you what I mean by being honest and open of who you are, but also using language that is compassionate to the birth mom and showing them what it means. And it's really short, so I'm just gonna share it. So we wrote, we really appreciate you choosing to read through our profile. We hope that you have been able to see that our lives are filled with family, fun, and a lot of love and wonderful traditions. So again, showing who you are and those important things. We love celebrating both the big and small things in life, and we can't wait for a child to join us in the fun. If chosen as your adoptive parents, we will always love and care for your child and be thankful for them coming into our lives. Please know that we want you to feel comfortable and having a voice in your adoption plan. We are open to open, semi-open, and closed adoption. So right there, we were open to all three. Some people might only want an open adoption. Some people might only want a closed adoption. But just be honest about what is right for your household. For us, we were open to all three, so we were able to put that there. We will always talk to your child and with your child and remind them of where they came from and share it with them and how much you love them. We want them to be proud of where they come from and how they came into the world and how they joined our family. We know that this is a difficult decision ahead, but we want to thank you for your selflessness and wish you clarity and strength in this time. If you feel that we would be the right people to raise your child, we would be grateful and honored. So it was just a little short, sweet thing, but you still want to have compassion. And if that's another thing, like that's not really a tip, but just like a bonus thing. If you notice, like I said in previous videos, for us, and honestly it should be for anybody who's open to adoption, once you bring your child home, that is your child, right? You don't like separate them as your adopted child. They're just your child. You raise them as your child. But in the profile book, our adoption agency was very specific to say, don't refer to a child as your child, because they're not your child until the papers are signed. And when the birth mother or birth family is looking at a book, papers are not signed. She's making a decision. And so in the book, you need to refer to the child as, either their child, and just talk about them as your potential child, potential adoptive parents, and be respectful of the process. And in that part of the process, that's where you're at. So that's, that's what I mean also. Not only be compassionate, but be careful of the wording, that you're using proper adoptive language and being respectful for all parties and just being compassionate overall. So that's important. So those are our main tips. Like I said, this is our last video for Adoption Awareness Month this year. But we'll always bring awareness to the topic. And so if you have further questions or videos that you want to know about adoption, share in the comments. And if you are an expected adoptive parent or an adoptive parent, or someone who has been touched by adoption, and you have other tips, you've been through the journey and have other tips that we didn't talk about, you can also share that as well. I hope you like this video.
Like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. Tell us what you think, and like Justine said, if there's anything else you want us to cover, whether adoption, family, or parenthood, we're always free and open to suggestions.
See you guys next week.
Bye.